Okay, still a couple of days to go for the next test match. But before we talk about India's, prospect in the second test match in Vizag, and that's going to be our focus. We're going to be looking at the 11 in the dugout. There's news coming in from, domestic cricket that a player has been admitted in serious condition in the ICU from the Karnataka team. We are not at this moment 100% sure as to reveal his name, but there is a player nonetheless, a prominent player at that is what we're getting to hear, who has by mistake, that's the story, and these are initial details, so don't hold me to it later, because these are, as you know, in breaking news, sometimes details when they're emerging, we cannot 100% be certain about the authenticity of the news that's coming in. But what we're getting to hear is that a player who's right now playing domestic cricket, but a well-known cricketer, he was in Agartala and was looking to drink some water and drank water. Mistakenly, it was actually a bottle of poison, is what we're getting to hear, and he ended up taking a sip or two from there and then suddenly felt uncomfortable and was rushed to the hospital. That's all we know now. So not sharing any more details as to who the player is. We have an inkling of who he is, but till we are 100% certain, we're not going to be sharing the name with you. But that's the situation. Also details at the moment as well, initial details. So later if someone says, no, this wasn't the case, something else, as I said, don't hold a gun on my head and say that is exactly what you said. But what we can assure you is that as soon as in the next half hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, we have some more details on it and authentic details at that, then we'll do a separate video on that at the end of the dugout. That's all I can share with you at the moment. But all I can say is that, our best wishes, prayers, and all the positive energy, we're sending it out to the player concerned, and hopefully it's sorted out soon, and he can recover to being the player that he was. Yeah, that's that. So 2 days since the test match has gotten over, we've already discussed the number one reason. Thank you for your comments. All of you also chipped in yesterday in the dugout with your own assessment, some adding to what we had said, while some coming up with their own fresher perspective. And that's what we love about every day when we're doing a live dugout, that every day there is an exchange of ideas and thoughts between us as well as you, and that's our endeavor, and that's what we try and do here on Sports Today in general, but specifically at the dugout. So the news was yesterday, 2 players are out, and as we mentioned yesterday, 4 first choice players for India are missing, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way India are in a situation, so they'll have to be picking a team for the Vizag test match. That's not going to be easy, because before the first test match, I don't think we had too much debate as to what the team is going to be like. At best, there was one debate between Akshar and Kuldeep, and they went Akshar's way, which also wasn't surprising. As I said, it was a 50-50 pick. But this test match, we're going to be trying and making an 11, and as far as I can see it, again, top of my head, I think I can make 4 different 11s, and all 4 different 11s will have reasons as to why that 11 should be there. So as I said before the first test, possibly only 2 11s you could make with just one change here. 4 11s can be made, because that's how much combinations, permutations you can look at based on the 2 players that are pulled out and based on the pitch that you're going to get there. So I think one of the major consideration is going to be the pitch as well. We do not have Shashwat with us, the pitch expert, who can tell us how the pitch is in Vizag.
Or the weatherman in Siddharth.
But weather, I think, is going to hold. So his expertise is not going to be of too much use in this match, unless it was a monsoon season, then it would come in.
Or if the match were to be played in Sri Lanka, then of course he would have every idea about the overhead conditions, what the wind speed would be like, what the moisture in the air would be like. So that's a true weatherman.
Yeah. Have you also got 4 11s in mind?
See, you can actually make, if easily, about minimum 2 maximum about 4 or 5 sides that you can make. 2, of course, first changes. Third, if you want to be, let's say, innovative, a little adventurous, then of course comes in the third change. 2 changes we all know. What those 2 changes could possibly be over there as well. Over there,
I don't think anybody knows.
I'm saying over there, 2 are first changes. I'm saying 1 you're sure of, let's say possibly who could be getting into the side. The second is where you think, okay, there is a slash over there. So, but yeah, you can very well go ahead and both those first changes have a slash against the name of those 2 players as well, because there's 4 players in contention at the moment. The third thing, if you want to be adventurous, and that only the Indian team would know what exactly to expect of the pitch in Vizag. They just reached about a short while back. Those visuals, by the way, are being put on Sports Day, so check those visuals out. But a lot's obviously going to depend on what this pitch is. We heard from Brendan McCullum as well. They're not afraid of fielding for spinners. Can India also go ahead and do something similar? Well, I'm a series, I'm a match down in the series, and I think, let's say, and which is why I'm tempted to make that third adventurous change as well, and probably bringing in a Kuldeep. Of course, we'll talk about the 2 first changes.
We'll go to specifics later.
But I think for starters, let's say, I think I'm also looking at bringing in a Kuldeep into the side, barring, let's say, looking at a Washington who could then be a replacement for.
No, not getting into specifics. That we'll get one by one. I'll just tell you,
the
as
outline.
they say, mota at a macro level, that one could be where, again, 2 fast bowlers. Some may say no, not 2 fast bowlers. That's one area that you could have differently. One could say get a spin bowling all-rounder. Somebody said no, go with out and out spinners. One could be play both batters that you have just drafted in, and get another spinner there for the fast bowler. So there are good 3, 4, 5 different options. And as I said, when I'm looking at the entire squad, each of those options are tempting, because each option is giving us something different, and telling you, yeah, you should go that way. And so it's going to be very tough to zero in on that one, though I've made up my mind what is going to be my ideal 11. Well, that's not to say that if Shane was to pick a different one and Harshit was to pick a different one, they wouldn't be ideal. That's how tough it is, which is why I said it's one of those rare days that we'll have multiple options looking at the 11, unlike most other times where you're just debating about 1 or at best 2 spots. That's not going to happen. While only 2 slots have opened up, as you know, because of the people that have gone out, your options of bringing people in could vary a lot. So let's start. Shane.
See, I mean, I think a lot will depend right now. For 2 days out from the test, we have no idea what the pitch is going to play like.
Wild guess?
Wild guess? Then I think wild guess would be, wild guess, convention. This Indian team loves sticking to convention. Convention would suggest that they'll probably bring in 1 all-rounder for the other.
No, wild guess about the pitch.
Pitch? Oh, it'll be a Ganda. That's my assumption.
So it's proper 2021 vibes then for this series.
Yeah.
Huh?
You lost the first test.
Exactly.
And then you'll serve up absolute pothole pitches. I think you're going to do that. You're going to get one that's going to turn square from day one, which does in essence take out the skill of the batters, but I think that's something that we've stopped caring about for a while. You want a result-based test match.
Okay, sorry, I'm just interrupting you because the information that I gave right at the start, and now because there's an official confirmation that has come from the KCA, the Karnataka State Cricket Association, so we can now divulge the name of the player. So it is Mayank Agarwal. So Mayank Agarwal, as I said, is a player of repute, someone who's played for India for such a long time.
Captain's Karnataka as well.
Yes, captain's Karnataka. He is the one who by mistake consumed a liquid which he thought was water. That's what we're getting to hear. And it turned out to be a poisonous substance, and he started feeling uncomfortable. He was rushed to the ICU of a hospital close by in Agartala. But the latest information from the Karnataka State Cricket Association is that he's fine. He's out of danger, is what we've been told. So that's good news to begin with. Of course, we'll follow up, get you some more a little later. But because I told you this at the start, just when we could confirm the name, I thought we must tell you. But nothing to worry. That's the good bit of news. Yes.
Happened on flight, right? The incident.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
I don't even want to think about how exactly a bottle of poison.
Poison, yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to speculate because we really don't know the details.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is this has happened and he was rushed to an hospital and he is.
At least the really good news is that he's fine.
Yeah.
That's the big
That's
one.
what we're getting to here. Exact details we'll let you know. But quite a freakish incident at that. Thinking that you're, drinking water and it turns out to be something poisonous. That's freakish. How that happened, we'll let you know. As and when we find out more. Yeah. To the 11.
See, again, convention says, and again, as I said, this is an Indian team.
So first we are going to establish what the pitch is going to be like. And let's safely say it's going to be a turner. Now, I'll tell you, the turner can range between the one that we saw in the last test match to the kind that we saw in Indore versus Australia, which is a ranked turner. Gadda, as we call it. So it'll be anywhere in that spectrum.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is it's going to be a turner, a dry pitch, a turner. So that's our safe assumption that we're making.
Yeah.
Whether it's now a ranked turner or a slow turner, we do not know. But assumption is it'll be a typical Indian pitch that we have got. Not the Ahmedabad pitch that you saw in BGT. Not that. The usual pitches that you've been going. The degree of turn and bounce and unevenness of bounce or the dryness might change. So assuming it's a spin friendly track, go ahead.
Then I think you'll play like for like. I don't think.
Start with the openers as we always do.
Alright, openers, I think you're sticking with your two openers. Rohit Jaiswal, go without saying.
Rohit Jaiswal.
Rohit Jaiswal.
There is a suggestion given by Wasim Jafar.
Yeah.
So don't write it as yet, or write it if you want. That Wasim Jafar has said what he would do is bring Gill back as an opener and get
Rohit
Sharma to bat at number 3. His logic is that Rohit Sharma can play spin really well, so even if he comes a little later, that will also allow someone like a Gill to play more freely and at a role that suits him. That's his opinion. Are you buying that?
No.
Why?
I think Rohit's your best test opener right now. Why do you want to change something that's not broken? I would understand if Rohit's form was out of this thing, but I think with Gill, and I know that a lot of people are saying that maybe he probably shouldn't have made that change. Maybe he didn't need to push himself down to number 3. But I think we always saw him as being or having a future in the middle order in Test cricket. Obviously, it hasn't been ideal, but it's also worth noting that this downturn in form has come at a time when he's struggling to perform across formats. So I'd rather put it less down to position and more down to the fact that he's had that slump. He was in God mode for 6 months. Now he's finally looking mortal again. That's all right. Players have that slump.
No.
You have to stick with him.
Okay.
The latter, that's my primary reason. The fact that across formats you've seen Shubman Gill struggle, which is why I won't want to, let's say, tinker at this point. Also, let's not forget, this is where he truly believes he's gotten runs in the past and can really excel. So maybe if you want to give him time over there and not try and fix something the other way around. Doesn't sound like a natural fix to me at the moment. Who's to say that shifting Rohit Sharma from 1-2 to number 3, let's say, could not backfire? It very well could backfire. So why take that chance to begin with? And also the point about, let's say, the fact that he's a better player of spin, etc., Rohit Sharma, so maybe he can come in later. Let's not forget England played with just one seamer in the first test match. So you're ideally, you're essentially dealing with a spinner from, let's say, ball 7 of the test match, because there's somebody from the other end who's going to be bowling, let's say, a spinner going to be bowling from the other side. So you have to have a good batter right up there to counter the spin. And it could just be, let's say, an adventure, or it could turn out to be a misadventure, asking your captain to come to number 3, hoping that shifting Gill back to the opening positions might just work for him.
Also, England can play 4 spinners, as they are saying.
Yes.
To be fair, he's saying 4. He means 5.
Because
Root.
He means 5.
He means 5 spinners.
So they're going to drop Mark Wood. By the way, I've loved a very interesting comment there. Mark Wood, he said, it's actually, despite his own bowling and how he performed, he said, I was made to look worse because of how well Bumrah bowled. His masterclass. So he actually said, quite funny that way, he's like, it's, all because of Bumrah, and the way he was bowling, it made me look even worse.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
With Wood, he's a good bowler. I won't say a great bowler, you need the numbers for that. But He's a good bowler with a limited role. You know exactly what his role is.
And what he's saying is that he wasn't very successful, but he's saying given the circumstances, I wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
He said that I'm looking too bad because then you have a genius like Bumrah who's
taking
doing
five
things with the ball the way only he can. And so everyone is like, Dekha, he can take it, why not you? So he's like, don't blame me for it. He's a genius. That's what he's effectively trying to say. So now they could even think about playing 5 spinners in that sense, which, I mean, 4 regular spinners and a Joru. So 5 spinners, and in which case, you know, Rohit Sharma will have to face spin from the word go. So it doesn't really then support the argument of Wasim Jafar. And anyway, even if that's not the case, I agree with my 2, panelists here that I also wouldn't tinker with that. Yes, you've lost the test match, and I think as soon as you do that, you are also telling the opposition that you've panicked.
Correct.
As soon as you do that. And if I were India, even if I did see, unless I saw some exceptional merit, cricketing merit in that decision, then I would be okay with it. I do not see any merit because even that is going to be guesswork. We're hoping that this will turn it around.
Yeah.
And in that situation, you do it like that, you're telling the opposition, listen, you've spooked us. You've spooked us after that one win. We don't know what to do. So we are now, trying everything possible under the sun. So I wouldn't want India to do that. So stick to your 2 openers. And one of them did have a very good outing in that test match too. Rohit also got a start. Should have built on from there in the 2 innings that he played. So for me also, Jaiswal, Rohit should remain as your openers. No brainer there. Yeah. No surprise. Okay. Number 3 now. Harshit.
Shubman Gill. Yeah. You're not moving past him as yet. Even though, yes, there's a Rajat Patidar who's been traveling with the team now, and who now I feel definitely will get a game finally at the age of 30 now, will be playing his first test match for the Indian team. I was looking at his numbers. Yes, he's got 200s very recently against the England Lions. Both of which, one by the way came opening, the other came batting at number 3. So it's very tempting that you have him bat somewhere over there. But I just think because you're talking about not making too many changes or wholesale changes, send a message across and also sort of, spoil the team composition. Maybe you will have to have him come a little later, but Gill stays at 3, Patidar lower than him.
Yeah, Gill. Rajat Patidar.
Okay, no debate there. I'm not going to spend too much time talking. Gill at 3. Even though he's been out of form, I don't think you're going to make too many changes suddenly, especially when your experienced players are missing. Virat Kohli is not part of this squad. KL Rahul is now out, and other experienced batter, I'll call him, Ravindra Jadeja, is also not there. So not too many changes I'm going to make. Again, don't want to give them a sign that we're panicking. So give confidence to Gill, just as Stokes gave to Hartley, and Hartley did well. Rohit should do that with Gill and hope that he comes good. That's 3. Now it's interesting. Who is your number 4? First things first, because there'll be multiple options. There will be a batter or 2 that comes in. There is also Shreyas Iyer. And 4 is that spot that's now vacant, because these 3 were there in the first test, so it's the easy job that we've done. 4 was KL Rahul. Who's now your number 4?
I think it will be Patidar. Has to be Patidar. Because, you can go with a Sarfaraz, sure, but if you pick Patidar first hand, what sort of a message does it send him that, listen, we got this guy in after you into the squad? He was a replacement or a second choice replacement, and now we're kind of superseding you and sending him there. I don't think it's wise. Plus, I think the other option would be maybe move a Shreyas Iyer up the order, but his own confidence is shot.
Who are you going with?
Patidar.
Patidar. Even though Sarfaraz looks a very tempting option, somebody who's averaging in excess of 60 in first class cricket.
But at number 5.
That's the other point. If of course you were looking for, let's say, if you're looking at taking KS Bharat out of the side and you expect him to keep the wickets, which is
no.
Which is not a keeping option.
But exactly. But the fact that it will be too much of a stretch, we know that he's got the ability, but
that's not happening.
Exactly, that'll be too much of a misadventure, let's say, for you to then ask him to keep the wickets as well. So for that reason, I think Patidar, obviously he travelled with the team much more, and yes, he's got these tons. That's not to say Sarfaraz doesn't have the numbers, got a 55, then a 100 plus score in that game against the England Lions, but I think he'll still miss out perhaps good option But looking at the overall composition, and also you've got to fit Rajat Patidar in the top 4 because pushing him any lower than that will actually be making him bat at a position which he is not really used to. So 4 has to be the cutoff for him.
Yes, Shivam.
Patidar came for Virat in this team. When Virat will come, who will go down?
So you are saying, Shivam says that because Patidar was a replacement for Virat, so he should then bat at the position that Virat bats on, right? Number 4.
He's asking who drops out when Kohli comes back.
That's a different debate.
Yeah.
I'll have to spend more time. I'll get to that later. First, let us finish the 11. Then I will tell you.
Give a chance for Sarfraz, na? If Rajat goes out.
No, that's not necessary. That you're assuming. So you are saying if Virat comes back, Patidar will go out. Not necessary. Maybe Sarfraz goes out.
most likely Sarfraz, based on, of course, how it goes.
There is no rule as such that you can only fit into that slot. That I think is
and there's no such thing that the person who comes to replace will then automatically be the one going out. There's nothing like that.
No, that's not going to happen. Anyway, for me, I would have, but I'm outnumbered, so I think I would have gone with Shreyas Iyer because the one who's already played. I'm not going to put a debutant there. Shreyas Iyer is also a top order batter.
Yeah.
He's also batted at number 3. So the thing is that because he's had some experience of Test cricket, I know his form hasn't been great in the past few 10 odd innings I was seeing, doesn't even have a 50. So not a great time with the bat. But because you are not going to get a debutant suddenly to bat there, I would try to ease him in a little later. I would have gone with a Shreyas Iyer at 4. But these two have gone with Patidar. So we may have to put Pati there.
But Patidar, you were then thinking at 5?
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how I make my 11. So
is there a Patidar there or not?
I'll tell you that as we go later. But because they have picked Patidar there, so I'm outnumbered. As I said, 2 have to pick. And if Shivam, because Shivam has gone. No, Shivam, did you pick number 4?
If he does, it will be even. Where we need an odd number for that.
So we can come back to it, okay? We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Because you will know.
So we can have Patidar with a star maybe.
No. I'm saying there'll be lots of slots that will need filling right now. So which is what I'll tell you. So you go to 11. Should I write Jasprit Bumrah's name there? I know you could look at it 10 also, but I'm just saying the 100%.
The one bowler, the one pacer. Right?
Yeah, so just put Bumrah there. I'll just tell you when you're trying to make the thing. Now is the interesting one. At number 10, and I want to know on that. Are you going with Siraj or are you going to go with a spinner? Or what are you going to do?
I would actually be tempted to go with a spinner.
Spinner, not Siraj.
Yes.
Spinner.
Not Siraj.
Yeah, I know it sort of goes against convention. You're always thinking that, what if Bumrah pulls out? What if he's not even to give me those overs at some point? What if he needs a break? All of that. Maybe I need a seamer, new ball, this, that. But I think that's the little chance that I want to take, and this is the little bravery, let's say, I'd want from this Indian team. And I'll justify why I want a spinner in, let's say, Kuldeep as a specialist spinner later on when we...
That's okay. So you pick Kuldeep is in your...
Kuldeep then comes into my side then.
I'm not sure who my spinner will be. I was going more with an all-rounder.
Okay, so let's do... interesting.
That's an automatic one.
No, does Kuldeep make your 11?
For Jadeja?
No. What if... I just want to know, does Kuldeep make your 11?
Yeah, he would most likely make.
So we can put him here. Because I'm just saying, now if he makes your 11... So we'll ask all 3. Kuldeep makes your 11, definitely.
Yeah,
Kuldeep makes your 11.
Yes.
Kuldeep makes my 11 as well, right? So whatever said and done, if he's making our 11, we can sort out the batting slot later. But because he's making our 11, we've all put Kuldeep there. Instead of Siraj, we've gone with Kuldeep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've essentially gone with that. Ashwin is the other one that will make all our 11s.
Yeah.
Even Aksar, we use batting at 9.
Yeah, we will just one by one. So does Ashwin make
Yes.
our 11? So Ashwin makes our 11. Akshar Patel makes our 11. So he's also good. Now, does KS Bharat make your 11?
Yes.
KS Bharat makes your 11. Not the Sarfraz, what he's saying. Okay.
No, that was...
I'm just saying KS Bharat makes your 11.
Yeah.
Now you are left with 4, 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Which means you can go with a spinner. You can go with the all-rounder. You can go with 2 batters. What is it that you're looking to do in this setup now? So you've already got 4 bowlers.
Yeah.
You could still go with
I need
another.
a fifth.
You could go with another spinner, Saurabh Kumar. Like a lot of people think that I would go with another one in Saurabh Kumar, because remember you have to replace two bowlers. So you've replaced Siraj with Kuldeep,
Yeah.
but you also need to replace Jadeja.
Jadeja, which is where Washington for me.
Okay, so Washington comes in for you. Washington comes in for you.
Yeah.
Washington was also in my team.
Ah.
I had also picked Washington Sundar, but you know where? Okay, just put Washington Sundar's name. Washington Sundar comes in.
But then I think
for all of
the order we will sort of
We'll
reject.
get to- yeah.
We'll reject the order.
Yeah, so there's Washington Sundar that comes in. I'd give you the reason that I pick Washington Sundar. Now what do? You have 2 slots left. What do you want to do?
There's only 2 contenders that I see now. There's a Patidar and there is Shreyas. You just got to put in these 2.
It's just a matter of where you put
Where you put them. I think those are the main contenders, or let's say the front runners.
No, many would
Sarfraz.
say.
Yeah.
No. I'll give you an option.
Uh-huh.
You could put an Iyer.
Yeah.
See, okay, I'm putting Iyer and 4. I'll tell you why. Because you've got Iyer in your team.
Yes.
You've got Iyer in your team. I've got. So put Iyer for 4. We'll fix the batting order a little later. Okay. Why I'm saying is now you have a Sarfraz, you have a Patidar as well. Okay.
Yes.
Many would argue that go with 5 Sarfraz, let's say, or Patidar. 6 go with Sarfraz. Why? Because that gives you now batting.
6 Sarfraz.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, play both. Why I'm saying? Because you, in the previous test match, played with 3 spinners and effectively 1 fast bowler.
Yeah.
You did not use 5 bowler.
Yeah.
So your 3 spinners are done and your 1 fast bowler is done. So if you see your bowling lineup right now with Bumrah, Kuldeep, Ashwin, Akshar, your 1 fast bowler, 3 spinners, exactly the attack that you played last time is done. Is done. Now, because Jadeja is missing, so you're going to fill the slots of the combination, right? Now that Jadeja is missing, you've got 3 spinners like you had earlier, you got it. Right? You've got 1 fast bowler that you were using earlier, you got it. What has allowed you is because you've taken Siraj out, has allowed you that. What you can do, instead of a Sundar, who's still a all-rounder, you could go with both Sarfraz and Patidar. What that does is, does not take away from your bowling. You've got your 3 spinners. And by the way, your bowlers, it wasn't that they were overbowled. Even in a test match that England won, it wasn't ever a situation that your bowlers were overbowled. In fact, you kept thinking that, even if when I was saying bring in a Siraj to experiment, you kept saying when is the time to bring him on? Because each of the bowlers, whether it's an Ashwin or a Jadeja or an Akshar, also needs enough time to pick up wickets. So all I'm saying is that if you are playing, and especially if it's a ranked turner, where innings don't go more than 50, 60 overs, would you need another bowler in Sundar? Instead, what you will definitely need is more batting, especially with no Jadeja now, with Jadeja gone out, and you put both those batters there. And again, Bharat, you cannot rely that much. Akshar may chip in, whatever. There is a school of thought. Just remove Sundar's name from number 6. I'm just putting those 2 names, and you just see how the team looks. So put in let's say a Patidar at 5. Put a Patidar at 5. And put Sarfraz at 6. What do you guys make of this 11? The bowling is sorted, and your batting now seems sorted. Where last time you had an Akshar at 9, now you have an Ashwin at 9, which is the same balance with batting and same kind of balance with bowling that you had in the first test.
My concern with this is that you have 2 debutants. 2 debutants on a ranked turner, you might actually not go that way. I think they'll probably only pick one between Patidar and Sarfraz. I think it'll most likely be Patidar.
That's what I'm saying. So you're going to go with an all-rounder in Sundar. Because Sundar, the bowler, again, Sundar, the red ball bowler, we haven't seen, and we have, but hasn't been that outstanding with the red ball, right? In white ball, yes, because he can, sometimes bowl a quicker one, and like we were seeing him in the recent T20 series, he's found a way to adapt, and then his batting comes into play. Test matches, maybe you might not need him to bowl that much. Majority of the time, he's not going to be my go-to bowler. I'm going to continue with a Bumrah, Kuldeep, Ashwin, Akshar to get me wickets. If that's not happening, I have a choice. I can play two proper batter. That's a choice, but Shane's made that choice that he's going with a Sundar yet, despite your bowling lineup being done. Harshit?
Same. I'd want to go with Sundar because I feel just 4 bowlers I might find myself
But you
struggling.
just use 4 bowlers.
I know, and this is what I want to do different, let's say, going into Vizag, where I actually saw, the likes of Ashwin and Jadeja being negotiated very well, and which is where I think Kuldeep becomes like necessary for me going into Hyderabad, because Chinaman, rare commodity, maybe that's
Kuldeep to no-brainer.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So that's like an added thing that I'm taking, let's say, an added player or an added, something added to my armory, let's say.
Okay, the other option, as I said, multiple options, because you will miss out on if it is a Gadda sort of pitch.
Yeah.
Would you want to look at a Saurabh Kumar who's good, and when we're debating the batting, let's say you put in another spinner like him into the 11 instead of Sundar?
I'm not looking at Saurabh at the moment.
But it'll shorten your batting a bit.
It will shorten your batting because I think Washington's a better bat than he is.
100%.
Yeah. So I think in that sense it does shorten your batting, and given it's a Gadda, which we are expecting, I think you want to have as many batters as possible. In fact, I think one reason why they're so comfortable playing both Akshar and Jadeja, because again, if you're on the surface, they're very similar bowlers.
Yeah.
So, but you do need their additional batting. It has come in handy. Came in handy during the Border Gavaskar Trophy, where you had Ashwin and Akshar actually put together a valuable partnership in Delhi. So the deeper it is, the better. You don't really know who's going to rescue you, and that's why I think.
I agree. The Saurabh Kumar getting another out-and-out spinner doesn't make sense because your batting becomes weak. I agree.
Yeah.
But this combination, if you were to make it like this, gives you balance in batting. It gives you some hope in batting, as well as gives you enough bowling, especially on a pitch that you think batters are not going to last, to get them out, and that batting comfort comes. But both my colleagues, fellow panelists, have still gone with Sundar ahead of Rajat/Sarfraz, right? And so what I would have picked anyway was also Washington Sundar, like I had mentioned at the start. I was also going to put Washington Sundar, but I did put this option out so that everyone can have a closer look, as this could also be the 11 that India goes with. Okay, India could also go in with this 11, but I think Sundar will come in, and I'll give you my reasons, slightly different to the reasons that Harshit and Shane have gone with. I'll tell you why I will want a Sundar, but before I get to my reasons, I want to know, so if Sundar is in, and all three of us think, does he come for Rajat Patidar or does he come for Sarfraz?
Sarfraz.
He comes in for Sarfraz. So no need to do
no slashes needed.
Yeah. So
what was your opinion though?
I would also go with Patidar, simply because Patidar had come in earlier, and if there is a slot opening up, he needs to come in. But if you think 2 slots opening up for batters, the option, then I think both Patidar as well as Sarfraz should play. But I think now Rajat Patidar plays. Why I went with Sundar, and I think why, despite the balance that I showed you with both batters being there, I still think that this might be the team that India picks, is because Washington Sundar is a left-hander. And I think that is an aspect that we are underestimating at the moment. Washington Sundar, the batter, in Test cricket also has shown he's quite a capable Test batter too. And why I think a left-hander is important, as you would have seen in the previous Test match, because of the bowling that England were doing and the left-arm spinners that they had, left-handers dealt with them much better. Whether it was a Yashasvi Jaiswal, whether it was a Ravindra Jadeja, whether it was an Akshar Patel. Which is why my batting lineup, and I just want to show you, so our 11 we've kind of agreed on, right? All three have agreed that this is our 11, but I just want to tell you what my batting order and the kind of batting order that I thought I may go with. So bring in an Akshar Patel, Shivam, if you would like to make that change for me, and put in an Akshar Patel for the moment at number 5.
Interesting.
At the number 5 slot. And put Patidar at 6.
You're doing left and right.
Yeah, Patidar at 6. Rajat, okay. Then you've got a Bharat at 8. Just copy paste Bharat at 8. And you had a Sundar here. So, okay, now I'll tell you what this would do. This will now allow you to play that left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand with the Indian team wants. I know that they may not go to Sundar the bowler, and honestly Sundar the bowler, he may end up picking up wickets, I don't know, but you already have an off spinner in Ashwin. I don't know how many overs Sundar the bowler might get, especially if it's a ranked turner, may not be need to get him to bowl a lot, but could be an option in case there's a partnership that builds up and you really need someone to chip in. Maybe on an occasion where you need both off spinners bowling at one point because you have two left-handers batting, you could look at that option. So in which case he comes into bowl, but I don't think the Indian team management is going to look at that aspect more. I think him being a left-hander will make a hell lot of a difference in how they go about it, and that batting order they might keep flexible depending on who gets out.
Correct.
So if there is a left-hander getting out, you'll send a left-hander, right-hander, you send a right-hander, so that they don't allow England to get into the rhythm. I know with Joe Root, he brings in a different dimension. I know that if this is the thought process that India has, there's a good possibility now the other tall off-spinner would have joined the English squad. He's got his visa. He could come into the play, but I think that's a risk that India will still take and bring in that left-hander, especially for their left-arm spinner. The only way this could change is because England ends up announcing their 11s before. If Jack Leach hasn't recovered, and then they go with the another off-spinner, in which case you now have two off-spinners in a Joe Root who's bowling well and the young off-spinner who joins him there, and only a single left-arm spinner in Hartley, as good as a test match that he had last time, then India may still, then I may want to change my tactic because England announced it on the eve, and if I see there's no Jack Leach, only one left-arm spinner, two off-spinners, okay, then I'm changing it. Then Sundar is going out for me and I'm bringing a Sarfraz in, and I'm getting that balance. Then I'm getting more righties to handle that, and that for me would be India's plan. This is your 11 if Leach and Hartley both are playing, but if there are two off spinners playing and no Leach because of his injury, then I'm going the other way and I'm bringing a Sarfraz. That would be my 11.
It's interesting because again, as you mentioned with England, they do always tend to reveal their 11 beforehand.
Why would you do that? Because if you do it,
it hands you an advantage.
I'm India, I'm going to do this.
No, it does hand
I'm going to wait for you to announce and then pick my 11. If you don't, then it's a gamble that I'm taking. I don't know who, but I may rely on my sources that I'll know if Leach is fit or Ginger or whatever, and I'll go with an estimate. But if you announce it on the eve, well, if I'm captain and coach, this is a strategy I'm following.
Quite possible, because again, they do tend to hand out their advantage where they'll be like, okay, here's our playing 11. Now, please go ahead and make your teams in accordance to that. Wild thought, could they not actually just play Leach even if he's not fully fit? You have four spinners, you don't need him to do an awful lot of fielding.
How many of us expected him to take the field in the second innings?
So that was
giving him no chance. And I did read some reports that he was heavily strapped and this and that. So maybe it was that heavy strapping that allowed him to bowl. He did look okay, by the way. I didn't keep an eye out how he was, running around in the field.
I don't think he fielded much.
But exactly, but bowling wise looked okay.
No, so if he plays, I still go with this 11.
Yeah.
Because then I need to counter both sort of spinners, right? Left arm spinner as well as an off spinner. So I balance my batting lineup out. Then I do. The only way I'm moving from this 11 and bringing a Sarfraz instead of a Sundar is if I know 100% Leach is not playing and they're only going with one left arm spinner.
Yeah.
Then
two off spinners. You back the matchups and say, okay, we'll play an extra righty and probably make them think twice.
Yep, that would be my choice. Let's see what our subscribers, folks that join us every evening, what is it that they've gone with? Do they agree, disagree, or have their own 11? As quite often they do.
Have we displayed ours, Shivam? Did we cut to our 11? Perfect.
Okay, let's take the first comment from Shubham.
He says that we talk a lot about Ishan Kishan on the bench being fatigued, but Boland has been the 12th man in this whole summer, bringing rings for the past 2 months. Yet there's been no complaint from him.
I mean, it's different strokes for different folks.
Also, it's a different story in Ishan's case. It's something. Yes, of course, he got rewarded. He got that call up, test format, gave you runs. Then you toyed around with him. Let's say, okay, you open for us when such and such player is not available. okay, now that player is back, so you now come into the middle order. Two cases, very different. Boland, at least, his roles sorted that way, so maybe he doesn't mind. But yeah, with Ishan Kishan, it's the fact that he's been toyed around a bit, which has perhaps, again, conjecture, but yeah, that's what you believe and that's what reports also suggest. That's what's taken a toll on him. So yeah.
I mean, see, I think what's taken it all on him more so than anything else, rather than lack of opportunities, I think would be, and this is something we've discussed for us, a lack of clarity.
Yeah.
What is his role? Is he a junior? Is he a senior? Is he the middle child? What is he? No one knows. With Boland, he knows full well that, listen, I have 3 generational talent bowlers ahead of me, 3 of the best fast bowlers that this country have ever produced. So if one of them gets injured or is being rested, then I'm going to play. As it is with Boland, you also have to remember, I think his career was in jeopardy at one point. I think numerous injuries had taken a toll. So he's basically only playing at this point very much on borrowed time. I think he'd be okay either which way. The fact that he's had a test career at all and become a local legend of sorts,
MCG.
MCG hero, I think would be enough, considering at one point it looked like he'd have no career. So very different circumstances.
Shakib BSS, please talk about the Prince of Flat Tracks.
Shuman.
No, it's going to be an important series for him, a test match for him. Because if all your players are going to be available for the next test match, we still don't know. Hopefully, Virat comes back. That's the kind of indication we're getting that he will be there. And then, KL Rahul, if the injury is not serious, also comes back. We'll have to take a call. So I think it's a toss-up between the Gills and the Iyers. And we'll know.
At that point, so crucial test match will be coming up for both of them. Because assuming KL is back, assuming Kohli is back, then suddenly you're looking at players being accommodated outside of the 11. So
okay. Sanidhya Mahavar says Rajat and Sarfraz are playing Ranji matches continuously. They can play better spin than current players, and more importantly, they scored 100 and are in confidence too. That's true. But can I tell you, and maybe they both get a chance to play, but let's take Ranji performances with a pinch of salt too. There's a huge gulf between Ranji performances in international cricket. Also, the pitches in Ranji Trophy are not always like the one that you see in international cricket. So it will be a different ball game.
That's the point I was coming to. In Ranji, you actually get more sporting tracks for the most part.
Yeah.
You actually tend to get better tracks for batting than you would in these levels. And this sort of a disparity has always existed. I remember for years Bangladesh would complain that their biggest asset is always pace bowlers. So in domestic cricket they produce pace friendly tracks. Yet when it comes to hosting teams, they'll produce gaddas. So your pace bowlers are then hampered. Your biggest strength is hampered because you're trying to win. It's something similar on a smaller scale happening here. So you're right, they would play spin better, but spin in what conditions? On good tracks, on sporting tracks. On these gaddas, it's a lottery. Let's be fair.
Mayank Thapliyal says, so BCCI has now picked Sarfraz in the squad, who should have made his debut 5 years ago. I think that's pushing it.
5.
Would have been number 1 batter today in ICC ranking.
Also pushing it.
Board is fond of models rather than performers. By the way, this is the comment that he's picked up from one of our interviews. Sunny G said on Sports Today that if you are looking for very fit,
this was
people
when
pick models.
The yo-yo test thing had come up, right?
Yeah, and forget about batters. He had spoken in favor of Sarfraz, but I mean, I'm sure you're a big fan of Sarfraz, and I hope he does become one of the best batters. But I wouldn't be that bullish as to say he would have been number 1 batter in ICC rankings. As I said, Ranji performances don't always translate. I tell you, some of these batters that we're discussing about, a Shreyas Iyer or a Gill and so on and so forth, send them to Ranji Trophy and you'll see how many runs they score.
I mean, Iyer has come off the back of good domestic performances.
Exactly my point.
Same with Yashasvi Jaiswal. In fact, a lot of these players, people will say, I remember this criticism came about when Rinku Singh was being the 12th man in South Africa. They're like, he's a T20 player. I'm like, have you seen his Ranji numbers? Yeah. But then, against what kind of opposition those Ranji numbers are and what kind of pitches. I mean, recently, and just to give you an example, Nitish Rana is currently captaining UP.
Yeah.
In a test match against Mumbai, he went and scored a century. He's someone who had stopped prioritizing red ball cricket until this particular season. So, and he himself admits it. He's saying, I was more focused on white ball, even though he was playing red ball, captaining Delhi. But I was more focused on white ball. So, he's switched on his focus a little bit. He's getting hundreds against Mumbai. So, his domestic system in itself is a little shaky. That's it.
Fitmonk says, giving rank turners in Vizag would only help England. Somehow they are going to score 200 to 300 runs through baseball approach, but our batting would go for a toss as Kohli, KL and Jaddu will not play.
I mean, Harbhajan Singh has said something similar. He's saying, please don't give a rank turner because your own batters are short on confidence. The batting looks weak because the experienced players are not there. And your batting is good. But if you give them a sporting track, you're at least giving them a chance to bat. Saying right now, if you give them a gadda, you'll fall in your own hole.
But I think they'll give them a gadda
Oh, they will.
because they did not in Hyderabad and the result didn't go their way. So
It's the same logic as the 2020-21 series. Root got a double 100 on a sporting
Yes.
Chennai track and you served up gaddas afterwards. You're going to do the same
It's
now.
the exact canvas now.
Yep. Vivek Mishra has picked his 11. He's gone with Rohit, Jaiswal, Patidar at 3, then Gill at 4, Sarfraz, Iyer, Bharat, Akshar Patel, Ashwin, Kuldeep, Bumrah. So he's gone with that other
Four
option.
bowlers. Yeah.
The other option that I was giving. Quite possible. Quite possible. What is you saying? If they don't announce on eve, then morning warm-ups can also be used.
Morning warm-ups can be deceptive. How many times during the World Cup we
Yes.
say, oh, Ashwin is bowling on one track, he played one game. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Soumya also know Ruturaj can join in the third match. He was not fit. Otherwise, would
That
have been
finger injury, yeah.
probably been considered. We still don't know the extent of his injury, but at this moment, not sure. I think if KL and Virat and everyone's going to come back, I don't think they're going to make too many changes into that thing. Okay. Mayank wants to know, did Virat take permission from broadcaster before taking a break from the first two? Why should he take permission from the broadcaster?
He'll take permission from the board. Huh? He'll take permission from team
Yeah.
management.
Yeah.
Broadcaster has nothing to do with it, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah. And it's not the broadcaster that you think the broadcaster is.
He's on the BCCI roster.
And also he's confusing the broadcaster.
No, he's of course he's right. You're talking about one broadcaster who talks up Virat.
That's, yeah.
Or the other is the narrative.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Okay,
Need to
don't
point
know.
that
We are
out.
not getting into details. But man, watch closely. Okay, who is the broadcaster? But yeah, why should he be taking permission from the broadcaster? I mean, he takes from the BCCI. I know what you're trying to get at. I understand that. But no is the answer.
Cheeky.
Very cheeky. Okay, Freaky Awesome says India and England are equally dangerous on a good batting track, but considering our current batting lineup and form of Gill and Shreyas, it would be suicidal. Hyderabad like pitch suits us more than rank turners. We've taken a similar comment,
Yeah.
and what Harbhajan has said is quite similar to that as well.
Don't fall in your own trap. But knowing them, I think they'll serve up a rank turner, 100%.
Shakin says, what happens if Patidar scores a century and Gill a year fail again?
Interesting that Patidar stays in the lineup. Simple as.
Does he?
He might. I think, Iyer is already on
Centurions
very
have been
thin
dropped, double centurions have
Triple
been dropped,
centurions have
triple
been
centurions have
Have been dropped.
But I think Iyer right now is on thin ice.
And it happened after, one of them played against this opposition only.
No, but the problem is that Iyer right now is on thin ice. Not just because of his
Exactly.
form, but also I remember this was a story when he had played that one Ranji game. And he was quizzed on, selection, this, that, saying, listen, I'm just playing this match because I was told to play the match, which does feed into earlier speculation that he wasn't going to play the match. The BCCI says, no, go play domestic. So he's on very thin ice.
Okay, Ashish Dhar has picked his 11. He's gone with Rohit, Yashashvi, Gill, Sarfraz, Shreyas, Patidar, Bharat, Kuldeep, Ashwin, Bumrah and Siraj. So he's stuck with Siraj.
And playing two spinners?
Yeah, and he's playing Kuldeep and Ashwin. No, Akshar Patel.
How dare you drop the
do you
brand
do
of
that?
spin bowling in Gaddas?
Maybe he's expecting a different pitch.
You give them a pace-friendly pitch. God help you, they have three pacers.
Yeah. Ashish Ranjan is pointing out exactly what I had shown you in the other option that we picked. Should we go in with 6 batters and 4 bowlers and Bharat the keeper, since our batting has looked vulnerable to spinners in the second innings? That's the second option that we did give you. And I think bringing a Sundar kind of sorts that issue out. So I think that's exactly what they're doing. Whether they're going with a Sarfraz or whether they're going with a Sundar, I think that's pretty much what they're going to do, because dropping a Siraj will allow them to play. But if Siraj is playing, then it's a no-brainer. Then I think you will, both Sundar or Sarfraz, whoever will miss out, then just Patidar comes in and Kuldeep comes in then for Jadeja. Simple as that. And Patidar then comes in, or Sarfraz if the team wants. One of them comes in for KL Rahul. KK has picked his 11 for Vizag. His is Rohit, Jaiswal, Rajat Patidar, Gill, Iyer, Sundar, KS Bharat, Ashwin, Akshar, Kuldeep, Bumrah. That's true. Exactly the 11 that we had picked. Yep. The AajTak says by playing quickly, India playing into England's hands, grind them out. They don't have temperament to stay in a 5-day match. Even if it's a draw, they will make mistakes that we can capitalize. But AajTak, I'll say, I agree with you, but I'm saying, I repeat, let the batter decide the approach that best suits him. If everyone thinks of grinding it out, you get stuck and in a confused state of mind, and you are not going to get too many runs. If there is a batter who's comfortable doing it, let's say Gill wants to bat like that, old school is comfortable doing it, let him do it. But then don't tell a Yashasvi also to bat like that. That may not be his natural game. But if Yashasvi wants to, then so be it. Let the batter decide his approach.
Also, two things. I mean, one, I don't necessarily agree with this idea that they don't have the temperament to grind it out for a draw, because I think in the WTCR, a draws are dead. Every team goes for a result. A draw does you no good in terms of points, and those points really do matter almost as much as being ahead or behind in a series. So I don't think any team is going for a draw, not even India. Not even India at this stage will try and go for a draw. Second, you tried grinding it out in the second innings.
Yeah.
You tried grinding it out, everyone ground it out, and you failed miserably. I don't think on these sort of pitches grinding it out is the solution. You need to sometimes be a little proactive. I mean, England won thanks primarily to sweeps, reverse sweeps, and reverse dill scoops and whatever the hell else they were doing.
Okay, Prakash, I'll say I was not there in the live yesterday, but just want to say to Mohit, Harshit is his other name, that I hope you will never underestimate anyone in cricket or life as well. Nothing is 100%.
Yeah.
I warned him, Prakash, while he was making those predictions. He would not listen. So, but Mohit, that's a lesson learned. Final comment that we're going to take is from Jem, and he has a gem of a comment. He's saying, thoughts on Dean Elgar on Virat Kohli. Just for those of you who don't know, Dean Elgar talks about an incident in 2015 where Virat Kohli almost spat at him, and Dean Elgar.
Almost, he said spat.
I don't know whether.
So he said spat at him. Those exact words.
Yeah, no, I'm saying spat, but I don't know whether.
Where?
It did it
Land
or fall short.
No, I thought you were talking about his intent. Because
No, intent
was
is spat.
definitely
Intent is spat.
there. Execution, whole different matter.
Yeah.
He spat at him
Yeah.
in 2015, and then he says that Elgar told him in a mix of English and Afrikaans that if you do it again, I'm going to
Knock
beat
you
the
out.
whatever
Knock you
hell
out,
out of you.
Knock you
sort
out was
of-
what he said afterwards, after the first few things got leaked out.
But just basically said, if you do it again, I'm going to punch you in the face. Something like that. And then Virat didn't do it after that. And then years later,
2018.
The next tour, when he came to South Africa, Virat realized his mistake and said that, I want to take you out for a drink. And the bottom line is that they drank till 3 in the morning.
Actually, ABD also played a key role in that, because
Yeah.
he was Kohli's RCB teammate at that point, and of course was captaining South Africa. And he went to Virat and said, "You're spitting at one of my players.
One of my
That's not on."
teammates. Yeah.
So he played a key part really. I think he pointed it out to him, calmed him down, because that was still hothead Virat Kohli era.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I wanted to point out in that incident.
And Virat, in the first place, they say he understood that particular expletive because of AB being his teammate.
Yeah.
So he otherwise would have.
So he learned a little bit of Afrikaans.
Afrikaans,
Yeah.
he learnt. No, so the only comment I have is like it also highlights. See, firstly, it's not done. Whoever the player, you can't do that. If it was an Indian player and a foreign player did it, I also wouldn't take it too well. And we talk about it. But two things that really stand out. One, I must say that Elgar, for having kept it under wraps at that time, so he allowed whatever happens on the field stays on the field. He tells this now after many years later when it's been sorted out. So good on Dean Elgar. I've always been fond of this guy. He's like those old school hard as nails sort of cricketers. He shows that in his batting as well as in his temperament to have dealt with it there in his own manner. He also didn't hold back, gave it back, but never made too much of it by saying it in press conferences or whatever. So that's good. Second, on Virat Kohli's point, it just shows you the two sides of Virat Kohli. We knew that there was this brash young kid who was there till about this 2015 phase, and then we saw a change in Virat Kohli the last few years, and that's fine. You're very different when you're. Ricky Ponting is another example that comes to my mind. Great batter again when he was very young, was very short-tempered, had all sorts of temper issues, did not conduct himself with a lot of grace on the field. But as he matured later now, he seems to be such a sweetheart when he's doing commentary and all of that. Also, he had a pub brawl as well as a young kid, Ricky Pub. So I'm saying that there was a different personality of Virat, but I absolutely love this fact. It also takes to be a bigger man to go and own up to your mistake and tell the guy that okay. There's a lot of Aussie in Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
A lot, because this is what they talk about Australians, right? They play hard,
But play
they can cross the line sometime on the field, but after that they'll be the first ones to come shake your hand, sit in the dressing room and share a beer with you or whatever, like your choice of person.
Someone had said that Virat would probably be a lot more idolized if he was Aussie. In India he tends to get a mixed rap.
Because our outlook in India is very different.
Yeah.
And
we like good boys.
Yeah, we're driving more idealistic over here, which is why.
Which shouldn't be the case.
No, not at all.
I like the fact that he wears his heart on his sleeve, Virat.
Yeah.
I like that, and he should be like that. What's the point of being someone that you're not?
Yeah.
Even though I remember that thing which we have on Sports Today, and I think it's done rather well. That reel, it's in a few lakhs, of Ishant Sharma talking about Virat Kohli. So he's like, Virat is very different when he's just with us, and he's very different when he's in public space. He's like with us, he's that typical Desi Delhi boy.
Yeah.
He's like, as soon as like he's in a social space, with his wife around or any other, people, he's completely different. So he says even now he's very Delhi ka ladka, but privately with very few select people. But I like he wears his heart on his sleeve. That's how he is. He's never. What I like is that even on the field he's made no hiding that fact that
he's scored, he's taken stunners, he's hit all those hundreds, he's flicked middle fingers, he's abusive at times, he's taken it out on the broadcaster,
but he's still endearing.
He's blocked the way of a captain.
But he's endearing.
Exactly. He's pat now, very recently as we know. So he's not the entire
But there's something endearing about him.
Yeah.
Nothing endearing about the spitting, but
No, I'm saying as a personality.
Yeah, as a personality.
Like he wears, like I'm saying, like dancing on the field. Like
Yeah.
to be very natural. Like he
He's
genuinely
being a
enjoys
water boy and he's running like Haaland.
Yeah. Keshav Mara. Like even you see him dancing, it's not like he's just doing it. He's actually
Genuinely
enjoying
in
it.
Yeah.
That dance that he's doing.
Genuinely into it.
Yeah. I like that personality.
Cricket need
Yeah. They
I
need
think
personality.
sport in general needs personalities. If everyone's a goody two shoes, then you're all boring.
As I used to say earlier, not every player should be Rahul
Dravid.
And not every player should be a Shane Warne also. You need both, and you need a mix of both and all sorts.
But see, what was so endearing about Warnie? He was unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
Didn't make any.
So is Virat actually.
Yeah, correct.
Unapologetically.
They're very true and they know this is how we are. Listen, take it or leave it. In fact, with Warnie, he was so far on the other end that even the Aussie public at times would be telling him, "Hey, calm down."
He played county for Hampshire, if I'm not mistaken. I think. So somebody I met in England who narrated the story of Warnie playing county cricket. So when he came to Lords, Middlesex, you know how they are so particular about what you do. So maybe in earlier games, those county grounds are not big, and he used to smoke. So he would just before he's going to take the, he used to smoke, till almost going to the field and then throwing the butt at the grass and then going in. And sometime there have been, I think he's taken a swig or two with the drinks. You've seen.
During the IPL,
he's done that. So I think some members complained about him smoking around the club house, or even when he's or walking onto the field with a cigarette in his hand before he walks in, something like that. And he was told about it not to do. So next break he goes out. He stands right at the rope, keeps smoking, like he's not going on technically on the ground, does it, and then puts his butt out in front of and he stands right in front where the members are, and then puts his cigarette butt out and then walks to the field.
And this is a guy who was caught having an affair when he'd asked his wife to join him in England during the 2005 Ashes.
I know.
So he was a character for sure.
I have more stories on that, but I think that is for
NSFW.
Yes, but he's a lovely guy. Lovely guy. I had a chance to know him rather well, and I used to be in touch with him because I did get him a few. In fact, when I was not working here, the organization needed him, so they always got in touch with me. And he used to be like prompt and so professional. He would ask me, okay, what time to what time, what is his remuneration for that. This time he'll enter, this time he'll exit. Perfect, and never a minute late, would reach, and everyone would be so happy with, like, you know. So I used to be worried that I've arranged it now. I don't know how he's going to be there because I was not there. Let's say it used to be different remote location. I'm handling it remotely. So used to be worried whether he'll reach on time, but he used to always be on time. That is first, and then used to be worried, like, what if they say after the program that he was moody, he exceeded time, so you know he got never. Once he was there, everyone used to have the highest praise for him. So I used to feel very happy that, you know, he's done a great job and backed me up. But amazing guy, amazing guy.
He said to Faulkner that I have enough to smash you in my life.
I have enough.
To smash you in my life.
I've smashed you enough. He told Faulkner that. He caught hold of Marlon Samuel's collar also, which I do not appreciate, but he did that in a BBL game.
It was a BBL game, and to be fair, Marlon Samuels, much as I'm not pro-violence, was himself quite the character. So that
He was,
always-
but I agree that there were reasons why he did that.
No, I'm not condoning the behavior.
Yeah, but you can't get
Can't do
physical.
that.
You can't get physical. He went and grabbed hold of his collar. I mean, Marlon Samuel didn't do. I can think of a few West Indians who would have hit
Probably
the bat on
walloped
his face. Would have.
That time it
Would
was
have.
very calm.
Imagine doing it to a Viv Richards. He would have like
Bashed.
pummeled him there.
After that,
Yeah,
in
so-
2016 World Cup, Marnus then was going bang.
Okay, we've wandered off to a different thing. We've shared our 11, so have you. Tomorrow we'll build up to the test match. Probably by that time we'll know the England 11, which will help us predict the Indian 11. And plenty other things to look forward to. We'll also have some sort of pitch images, what's it's looking like, what it is.
Perhaps the pre-match presser as well. Maybe that tells us a thing or two.
Yeah. Krika says Bharat at number 3. How do you see it? My
No.
one word answer, no.
I'll take my glasses off in that case. I don't want to see that.
Okay.
And he plays for Dhruv.
Where will you fit Dhruv Jurel now?
He's a direct replacement for KS.
Yes, but KS, by the way, with the gloves was okay.
No, he's a good keeper. Yeah.
Like I remember BGT, he was awful. Like he had those, blunders over there. But on a spinning track, he was keeping well. I think.
But KS Bharat, the advisor for DRS, was quite awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
They should try it. Okay.
Bye. Take care. Good night. Vanakkam. Nandri. Shabba Khair. Shubhratri. Eat your vegetables.
Don't
and do
travel
whatever you want to do.
Don't
not
travel
travel
there,
your
my
mother.
mother.